Hey, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be charting GBPJPY, which is the British pound versus the Japanese yen. And I haven't traded this in a few weeks, mainly because I've been focusing on gold, but I did notice that there were some really big moves that had happened this past week, and I think the week before. So let's go ahead and just do all fresh analysis here. And if we start on the weekly time frame, let's just kind of see what is happening and see if we can analyze this. So that way we can set ourselves up for potential profits this upcoming week. All right, cool. So here we are on the weekly time frame. Let me go ahead and give my little arrow. But basically we can see that for the past few weeks, price has been in kind of a consolidation, just hanging out in this area around 191 to about 190-ish area. So whenever you have candles that are closing side by side, even though we're currently on the weekly time frame, I think I said daily, but on the weekly time frame, it means that price is in consolidation. But when you're on those higher time frames and you go down to smaller time frames, there could be a whole bunch of opportunities to trade. It just depends on your trading style. So anyway, so we see that price is essentially in consolidation on the weekly time frame. So let's go ahead and go to the daily time frame and see if we can get a little bit more information about what is happening here. All right, so let me just move this over. Awesome. So now we see that price is basically in an uptrend here on the daily time frame, and we see a bit of resistance here, and a support. So let's just go ahead and draw that out. Just because when I'm drawing my support and resistance levels, I do like to use higher time frames, mainly because those are going to be a much stronger confirmation than, say, if I was drawing this on a lower time frame like the 30-minute or even the 15-minute. So we have our first line right here, and then just going to copy that, and then we're also going to look at our closest support level. Actually, I should have did this right here. Here's our closest resistance level right here, and I'm going to tell you in a second why I put that right there. All right, good. All right, so if we just quickly just focus on our resistance levels. So we have two, and we have this one right here at 192.46, kind of 192.50. So I wanted to mark this off because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 candles pretty much stopping up against this level. So that tells me that this is a really strong resistance level, and I definitely want to mark my charts up there. So if we go back a few days prior to, actually a few weeks prior to this, then we'll see that a really strong resistance level formed at 193.44, almost 193.50. So I want to keep these two levels marked off, mainly because this is a really high point in the market, and then it just sold off, and then it's tried to break up to get back to this level, but then price just kept rejecting 10 times at least on the daily time frame. And since we're on the daily time frame, we know that this is a strong confirmation type of time frame. So I want to mark that off. And then actually, let me make this a little bit shorter here, because these are going to be insanely long on lower time frames, and I want this to be about right there. Okay, great. So on the bottom side, as far as support, I like to mark off my most recent resistance or support level. So right here, we do have a support right here around 190.86, and then we also have a big rejection here, and then we also have a little support here. So, and then if we look even further, then we can see some resistance here. So the best support and resistance levels, you're going to have support and resistance at the same time. Let me draw this out and then kind of show you visually what I am talking about. So right here, we have resistance, and then over here, we kind of have a support, a little support here. But what I actually want to do is I want to prioritize price action that has happened most recent. And the thing that has happened most recent is this support level right here, and then also this rejection. We do have candles that kind of came down and went back up, but we also see that this level is also a really strong support level because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rejections before it broke down. And then this is fine because this happened about a month, maybe a month and a half ago from this particular point in time. But This still looks good. So let's go ahead and see if we can mark up another resistance level. So I do see actually a support level. I keep saying that. Here is a resistance right here, and then here is a support level right here. Definitely want to mark this off because we have a support, and then we also have a bunch of rejections here forming a resistance over here. So 1, 2, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and kind of 9 right there. That resisted this level at 188. And then also we have a bunch of rejections. We also have support. And then price bounced up tremendously from this level. So I definitely want to keep that marked off. So I think for right now, since we're on the daily time frame, this is enough lines. I typically don't like to have a whole bunch of lines all over my chart because I want to keep everything as clean as possible. So let's go down to H4. Make our charts look a little bit more nicer. All right, great. So as we can see on H4, we do have a lot more detail when it comes to these resistance levels. So I'm just making this a little bit slimmer and just going to shift it over just so that way it's touching this area right here, this resistance and then the rejection. So same here, we do see a lot of consolidation. We see a lot of wicks that formed right up in here. So I want to move this really close to those wicks because this is giving me some really key information in terms of identifying really strong rejection levels. So right now we're at 192.8. So this rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then kind of 11, 12 times from the zone. So I definitely want to make sure that this is marked off. And then if we look on the downside to our supports, we can see that we should move this line down a little bit. So that way it lines up with all the rejections. So I'm just going to move this down. Actually, I'm going to move this down a little bit more and then make this a little bit slimmer. All right, cool. So we have this rejection here. Price came it was up here, and then it came all the way down here, stopped. It's like, nope, I'm going up. So this is a really strong rejection level at 190.28. And we also have support and a bunch of rejections here. We kind of have some rejections here. Price almost made it to that level, but then bounced up a little bit. And then if we look even further left, we can see that price formed a little resistance here. It formed a little resistance here as well before continuing down. And then it also kind of consolidated. So when price consolidates, basically we don't know what's going on. So price could go up, price could go down from the consolidation. And as you can see, price went up. So and then price formed a support right here before going down. So this is looking like a really good level to me. So let's go down to this other level. Let me move this a little bit. So if we look to starting over here, we can see that price came down and formed these wicks. Price rejected here perfectly, formed a little support. And the thing that I want to do with this level right here is I want to prioritize the thing that has happened most recently. And it's right here at 188, almost 188 flat. So when it comes to these price levels as well, nice round psychological levels are going to be key as well, because these are essentially people in the market that are trading at these different levels. So as you can see, it pretty much lines up perfectly here. We got two rejections here, and then we have a whole bunch of consolidation here that we're not really going to worry about because most recently this stuff has happened and we want to focus on that. All right, so far this is looking really, really good. Let's go down to H3, even though sometimes H4 and H3 are kind of the same thing, but we want to take a look at it anyway, and maybe we can make some further adjustments. So this is looking good here, this is looking good, all this is looking good. One thing I am seeing is this. I do want to move this down in order to tap this support and this rejection, but still looking good. This is still looking great. So let's go down to H2 and see if we see something different. So this is looking good up here. I do want to move this level just slightly above, making it 192.85, mainly because we have all those rejections touching perfectly right now. And then if we look at the bottom, this is still looking great. We got a little rejection here before it bounced up, so that's good. And then it's a whole bunch of chaos over here, but basically we can just focus on what happened more recently. The level is still looking great. And then if we look at this, still lined up perfectly, almost at 188 perfectly, still looking good. Now you see right here, let me zoom this in a little bit. So you see right here where we have the candle, it went bearish and then it went bullish and it kind of overhangs this level. I'm okay with that because if we look here, we see a perfect resistance. We see a rejection, and then all the way over here, more recently, a perfect support and a rejection. And I think that's pretty much it here. So I want to prioritize this thing because this happened at this point, March 11th, versus the thing that overhung back last month. So, or actually a month prior. So this is still looking good to me. And then normally I go down to H1, but what I found is that since sometimes I do take my entries on H1, it's better to use higher time frames for support and resistance, but I am going to take a look at H1 just to see how things are lining up. And you can see that now we have a lot more data. Now we see that price is still aligning perfectly to when we did our top-down analysis, still looking amazing. Amazing right here, here. Yes. Okay. All this is looking great to me. And these are looking like really strong levels where, say, hypothetically, if I was back here, this is getting really slim now. Let me make this bigger. But anyway, back here, since price was generally in an uptrend and once price closed up above this level and this looks like it was in my session, this would have been a great buy pretty much right when the candle closed. I would set my stop loss probably, if it's not too big, right below this candle and then target these previous highs over here, getting about a 2.37 risk to reward ratio. And as you can see, price did go up a lot more. Oh, wow. And catching this top would have been a little insane, but some people do catch it. But yeah, that's almost an 8-to-1 risk to reward. So that's why I really like drawing my levels on higher time frames because they're going to give me the most confidence when I actually go to the market and take a trade. So, and especially on a time frame like H1 or M30 or something like that, that's going to give you a lot more confidence. So, or at least it does for me. So anyway, so let's go ahead and reset this and let's talk about what my game plan could potentially look like for this upcoming week. So let me zoom into most recent candles. All right, cool. So as we can see right now, price is essentially in a range. And we know that it's in a range because basically it's bouncing between two prices. So the first price is 192.8 and then the second price is 190.13-ish kind of zone. So if you look at price, you can see that price got up to here, sold off, got up to here, sold off, kind of got close and sold off a little bit, got close, sold off, sold off, sold off. So basically you can kind of see the theme here. So one of the ways that I like to trade is I like to see what happened in the past and see if price could potentially do that same thing in the future, which is why once price gets to, even though we're in a range and even though generally the market is in an uptrend, we see that price could potentially either, let me do this, price could either come from here and break through, maybe form a support and then continue up, or price could come back up to this level and then reject like it did before. So and then there's a whole bunch of other types of things that price could do in between. But my goal is to focus on the highest probability setup when I am looking to take a trade. So if I am looking at possibly taking buys, one thing I would want to do is to wait until price comes here, see what it's going to do, and if it gives me signs and wonders that price is going to go up, and it's not just like something random, I do have a system that I trade that is pretty reliable. So if price comes here, gives me an indication that price is going to go back up, then I could ride it all the way up here. All the way up here. So the first thing I would be looking for is either a counter trend trade. And I say it's a counter trend because generally the market is going up. If price comes back up to here, I would be looking for a sell targeting down here. Now, that's kind of like a home run trade. So a home run trade is basically where you're looking for this really big range or this really big range for a price to potentially go to, and it could with enough volume. But if you look really closely to these levels right here, you will see that price essentially came to about 50% of this range and reversed. So if we look over here, this is a good example right here. Price came down from this really strong resistance level, came down, and then it bounced, and then it bounced up again before continuing down. And then it kind of did the same thing here. It got really close to that level, but then it halfway through almost bounced up. So this is telling me that this is kind of a really strong level. So, and this could potentially be in this really big range, an area for me to trade from. So what I am going to do is use this horizontal ray, and then I'm just going to mark off this level. So I got mine in yellow just so that way it's not too distracting when I'm looking. But if you see here, price rejected, price kind of rejected here, and I'm actually going to move it down a little bit, mainly because right here in more recent pricing, price came to this level, formed a support, and then bounced up here. So that is something that I am interested in potentially. And if price, let's just say, came back, see right here, it's hanging out right here. If it came back up here, up to here, made some sort of resistance, and then I could take it all the way down there. And if you look in the past, you can see that price kind of did that, but it didn't make it all the way. Let's see. Actually, I could extend this line a bit. Yeah, because we see a whole bunch of resistances right in here. Went down, went down. So this is some really messy price action here. Let me make sure that my line that I just extended is lined up. Okay, it is not. So let's put it right there. Okay, great. Okay, cool. It's looking amazing. And then if we, yes, okay, good. This is what I wanted to get. So that is a trading plan, or at least one trading idea. The other idea is on the upside, where essentially if price comes down to here and gives me some sort of indication that it wants to go back up like it did here, like it did when it reversed here. Now this would have been a little tough to catch. It looks like this happened really, really fast. But some indication here, then I could take it up here. This could be the first profit target, and then all the way, oops, I can't even reach up there. And then all the way up here would be kind of like second profit target. So anyway, I'm the type of trader where I do take profits along the way because, as you know, if you've been looking at charts at any, for any period of time, you know that there's a possibility for price to just continue or to go in your direction and then immediately reverse for no reason. So seemingly no reason. So this is looking good to me. So that's pretty much one of, or actually two of my trading ideas. Then of course, if price comes right here and closes below this level, then the next profit target will be here at 188, almost flat. So that's pretty much handling this range. And then on the downside, and then of course, if price was to come up here and finally close up above this level, then the next opportunity to get a good trade will be up to these previous highs over here. So that's essentially what I'm looking for this week. And if you found this helpful, go ahead and drop a comment below. If you want to see a different market, go ahead and drop that in the comment section below, as I do read a lot of the comments, and I will see you next week. Bye.